Hey, this is Mr. Jarvis, and this is your homework help for September 5th, and we're looking at volume again. But we're trying to think of it in terms, instead of measurements, as objects, baseballs. We've been doing it mostly with measurements, and I've been asking you to, for example, if we're measuring in terms of centimeters, you'd abbreviate the measurement and write a 3 over it to indicate that it's cubic centimeters, that has width, 2 length, and 3 height. But in this case, you're just going to write your answer in terms of baseballs. How many baseballs does it hold? So our book has been writing the base of the shape in parentheses. So we're saying the length times width times height. And they've been doing the length and width in parentheses first. And I've been really drilling it in that you do the parentheses first, so I'm going to go ahead and do that here. So 3 times 6 we know is 18. And now I have to do 4 times 18. And if you could work it out, you can write that vertically if it helps you. And you should know 8 times 4 is 32. You can carry over the 3, 4, and we get 72. So I've been teaching you the rule. Now I'm going to teach you when you can break the rule. You always do parentheses first. However, if everything's multiplication, doesn't matter what order you do it in. So they just have this in parentheses to emphasize that this is the base of the object, of the container that's going to hold the baseball. So if you wanted, in this case, if it's everything's multiplication, there's no other operations, you can break the rule and say 4 times 3 is 12 times 6. And that's, for me, that's easier to do in my head. So you can do it, a way that works better for you, and you still get 72. Any order you do this, you're going to get 72. And your answer is 72 baseballs. And you need to write out baseballs, because they're actually objects, and it's already a given that baseballs have length, width, and height. So it's a 3-dimensional object. There we go. So number 1 is 72 baseballs. So let's take a look here at the next one, and we have how many baseballs would fit into this box. Once again, I don't have to write inches, cubic inches, or usually I'm asking you to do this. I think it's really important, that 3, really emphasizing that it's a 3-dimensional shape. But they're just asking for how many objects. If each box held 1 baseball. So the length times width times height. The length is 8. The width is 2. And the height is 6. So you have 8 baseballs times 2 baseballs. And they've been putting the base in parentheses. Once again, I don't think it's a big deal. Times 6. Okay. So what we have, and what we'll get, if we do the parentheses first, we're going to get 16 times 6. And if you want to write that out vertically to solve it, it sometimes helps. 16 times 6, I get 36. Carry the 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 more tens would be 96 baseballs. But once again, if it's easier for you to think 12 times 8 or 8 times 6, 48 times 2, which I think is easier, you all come out with 96. So once again, the parentheses that they're adding there are just to emphasize that this is the base of the object, okay? So for this one, we have 96 baseballs. And please write out baseballs. And if it was a measurement, if they were saying each one of these is a foot, 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot, you'd have to write cubic feet. So let's go down to look at our last challenge problems. So what they're saying is here, so Harris says that that 15 times 9 is the same thing as 45 times 3. Because you can multiply the 3, one side by 3, 15 times 3 is 45, And if I multiply the 15 by 3, I can divide the other factor by 3 and get 3. So is 15 times 9 equal to, well, 15 times 3, 45, times 9 divided by 3, 3. Is that the same thing? Let's try it with a simpler number. Let's say if I multiply one factor and divide the other factor. So let's say I'm working with 2 times 4. And that, obviously that is 8. Now let's say I multiply one side by 2 times 2. And I take this side and I divide it by 2, divided by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I still get 8. And if I work this out, 15 times 9 and we've kind of drawn these shapes out as 135. And I triple this one and make this one 45. So I times the 15 to get 45. If I do that and then I take the other factor and I divide it by 3, I'll have 3. I still get 135. Just like I did here. I took 2 times 4. I times the 2 by 2 and got 4. I divided it on the other factor. I divided by the 2, divided the 4 by 2 and got 2. And the answers both came out to be 8 here. So sometimes plugging in a simpler number makes a lot of sense. So hopefully that helped, and good luck with that. Thank you.